All parties are invited to join the government. For the government to succeed, we, all partners, will have to show restraint both during the negotiations and later on. Nobody is asked to give up on their ideology, but everybody will have to postpone the realization of part of their dreams.
Neri Zilber from Tel Aviv. He is a fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Neri, how did this deal between Bennett and Lapid come about?
Well, they have been in negotiations for several weeks until Bennett suspended those negotiations in the midst of the Gaza escalation and the intercommunal rioting between Arab and Jewish citizens of Israel. So it had been ongoing. The deal, according to my sources, it's still on the table. It was on the table even before tonight's remarks by Bennett, even before his about face in recent days. So it's not so much about the details or the essence of what this government will look like. It's more a decision by Bennett and his party to actually make the decision.
That ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has been in effect for over a week now. What could this all mean for Palestinians? Is that relationship with Israel likely to change at all if Netanyahu steps down?
Well, according to Bennett, not so much policy changes are expected on the Palestinian file. Bennett, as your previous guest mentioned, has to calm down his right-wing base, which in many respects is even more to the right of Benjamin Netanyahu's support. So he's saying that publicly, and I believe it to be true in terms of grand diplomatic moves or gestures towards the Palestinians. But really, if we look at the composition of the government, centrist and center-left parties make up the majority of the government. It doesn't mean they have complete say over what the policy will be. But even just on the margins, you're talking about a massive improvement on the real hard-right ideological government that we've seen headed by Netanyahu in recent years.
Netanyahu has been trying desperately to stay in power as he faces corruption charges. What does this all mean for his future if he leaves office?
Well, we can just see how desperate and determined he was to stay in power. He dragged Israel to successive elections, 4 in the span of 2 years, precisely for the purpose of gaining a parliamentary majority and then squashing the corruption trial that was really ongoing, and it is ongoing at the moment. So politically, he might be on his way out, but it also will reverberate in terms of his own personal and liable criminal exposure moving forward. So he's both politically desperate and personally desperate to try to scuttle this Bennett-Lapid government. He has a lot riding on that outcome.
All right, Neri Zilber in Tel Aviv, thank you.